Welcome to the Fundraising Elevator, where we're all headed up. This podcast is a production of Swaim Strategies, a consulting firm dedicated to nonprofit fundraising events. We're coming to you today from the studios of the AV department. Please welcome our hosts, Kristin Steele and Samantha Swaim.
Hello, and welcome to the Fundraising Elevator, where we're all headed up. Happy February. How did that happen? We are 1 month away from Elevate, and we are super excited. We have an all-star speaker lineup with a ton of past guests joining us this year. We will have Frank Velasquez Jr. and Chirian Koshi with keynote presentations. We will have Kelly Russell as our MC, and we're going to talk data with Clay Buck, sponsorship with Mariah Monique, and storytelling with Kristin Steele. This is a 2-day deep dive into your fundraising event that is going to take you to the next level. So if you're not registered yet, it is time, friends. There is only 1 month left, and we are hybrid, so you can tune in from home. Be sure to check out the link in the show notes or go to swaimstrategies.com to learn all about the Elevate conference.
One big juicy area that we're going to dive into at Elevate is the neuroscience of giving.
Yes, we are.
We talked to Dr. Paul Zak to kick off this podcast season and talked about how neuroscience plays into your fundraising event. At Elevate, keynote speaker Chirian Koshi is going to share the findings from his new book, Neurogiving. So as a lead up to Elevate, we want to talk about how to apply this to your next fundraising event.
So today is going to be different, a little bit of a different episode, a shorter episode, an episode with a script because we have a lot of content we want to make sure we get right. So for our viewing audience, sorry, we're reading from a script today, and we're talking you through some big concepts. You'll want to have a notebook handy, get a pen, because this is when we're going to dive in. We're really going to get into these concepts by Paul Zak shared in previous episodes and his acronym SIRTA from his book Immersion to share with you how we apply those concepts to fundraising events. Then we're going to bring you 2 episodes as case studies with folks who aren't fundraising events at all, but folks that we've been watching and learning from because they're incredible at gathering people and building movements, because they're both examples of connecting and making a big difference when doing so. Our next episode is going to talk to Jim Abels and Kat Topaz of Topaz Farm, all about how gatherings have changed their family farm. And then we're going to talk to Coach Sam Balto about how he transformed a daily commute into a weekly love bomb for our community called the Bike Bus, and how it is a simple gathering that is transforming kids, community, education, transportation, so many impacts. So we hope you'll join us in this 3-episode journey as we run right up to the Elevate conference.
Can't believe it's only a month away.
I know, it's only a month away.
Okay, so we have a lot to do between now and then. Great. So let's dive in and first introduce what SIRTA is. In Dr. Paul Zak's book, Immersion, he compiled over 20 years of research to answer the question of what gets someone to act. Ultimately, the same thing we all want to know in nonprofits, right? How do we get people to act? By giving, by joining a movement, by volunteering. His studies as a social scientist led him to measuring behavior based on immersion, the idea that when we experience something, when we connect through story, that shared experience can generate action. For the nonprofit sector right now, we have a call to action to all of you to connect more, to invite your donors in, to share experiences together that help them feel like they belong and that they are part of this work. And when you do so, when you gather, here is a frame that you can apply to really make your event effective. SIRTA is the acronym. S stands for staging, I stands for immersion, R stands for relevance, T stands for target, and A stands for action. Each of these can inform your design choice, and each of these has an impact on the audience's brain that helps them be fully present, engaged, and satisfied.
So we're going to do our setup and take our break now for a word from one of our promotional partners because we want to walk through SIRTA uninterrupted. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're diving into that acronym, so get your notebooks ready.
Ready for your hard work to yield more funds at your next event? Join us at Elevate, a nonprofit fundraising event conference designed to bring our community together and make planning successful events easier. Register today for this hybrid conference on March 3rd and 4th, 2026 in Portland, Oregon, or join us online from anywhere. This isn't just another conference. You'll walk away with battle-tested strategies, hands-on tools, and proven templates that top fundraisers use to raise millions. Your mission deserves fully funded success. Register today at swaimstrategies.com.
Welcome back. It's just Sam and I today, and we are walking through Dr. Paul Zach's SIRTA acronym. We took a little break.
Yep.
Now we're in for the big sprint. We're going to go through the whole acronym and talk about what it is. Get your notebooks out. Here we go. Let's start first with S, which stands for staging. Dr. Zach says staging ensures that participants feel psychologically safe and physically comfortable so their brains have the bandwidth to pay attention and be present. So how do we do that? How do we help a guest to feel psychological safety? First, we have to know who is coming. Take the time to gather your guest lists. Have every guest accounted for and assigned to a seat in advance. This leads to that feeling of we were expecting you when a guest arrives, instead of the feelings associated with we don't have you on the list.
It's always an icky feeling.
It's an icky feeling. It's time consuming. We totally understand that, but it is critical. It improves first impressions. It speeds up registration, and we all want a speedy no-line registration, and eliminates lines, and it eliminates waste because you know exactly who is coming. Next, communicate in advance. Tell your guests in 1 to 2 emails in advance what to expect. Where can they find parking? What should they wear? What food should they be planning on? If you're inviting me to a beach party and want me to wear a suit, that's very different than inviting me to a beach party with Bermuda shorts. When someone comes dressed to the theme you've established and fits in, it naturally says you belong here. If you leave that step out, you risk people immediately feeling out of place. And when that happens, they rarely participate fully. Now let's talk about arrival. It should be easy, welcoming, and clearly marked. Navigating a big convention center, casino, or hotel and starting the event frustrated is a quick way to lose people. But helpful volunteers, clear signage, and a welcome cocktail upon arrival all add to ease, comfort, and full participation. Finally, remove all barriers to participation. Registration should be easy to find with no lines. Guests' names should be on the list. Seating should accommodate every guest. All of this creates ease, and when it's easy, it eliminates stress. Staging tells your brain that you're safe. You belong. Now, pay attention. You don't have to be distracted by trying to figure out how to participate or if you're safe. You can simply enjoy.
I think we've all been to those events where it feels chaotic or it feels disorganized.
Yes.
or we've been behind the scenes on those events where we feel like we're just running.
Yes.
Our audience can feel that and they can see
Absolutely.
it. And so staging is the thing I think I really embrace this year, to see the transformative power of it actually preparing your guests to be a part of the event, to participate. And it's an area that I think gets overlooked.
Yep.
When we create roadblocks, things like not knowing how to get there or not showing up in the right outfit, it sometimes can feel like, I don't know if I belong here. That sense of unsafety, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how to participate. So staging is that thing that you can change that really says, it's easy. This is how you do it. This is how you participate. Because some days that couch is really making a more compelling argument than your big fancy gala. So you want to make it something that people feel like they can slide into comfortably. So when we attended an event at the end of last fall's fundraising season called Taste, this was something that really stood out to me because I think it was done really well. As guests, we got 2 emails from them in advance that really shared all the details and expectations. I knew what to wear.
Yep.
The attire was look your best, show up feeling good. So that helped me to realize, I need to actually spend some time figuring out what I'm going to wear to this event. I also understood that we're doing a food drive for a partner. It was right around the time that the SNAP benefits had been put on hold during the federal government shutdown. So they were doing a food drive. So folks were expected to bring canned goods with them. There were details. It was in a downtown busy area, so there were details about where to park. I knew where the venue was. I knew what the start time was. And it was a food and wine event, if you couldn't tell by the name Taste, which helped me to figure out how to accommodate my allergies. So being able to understand what to expect made it super easy to arrive and just start enjoying right away. It also got me really excited to attend the event in advance, and I started thinking a little bit more about it before hopping in the car to head over. So staging is the thing that I think can really set your guest up for success.
Yep.
Okay. S of SIRTA leads to I. Let's talk about I, which is immersion.
So this is the juicy stuff. Immersion is your storytelling.
Your favorite thing.
It's my favorite thing. It's crafting a message or experience that captivates both focused attention and emotional resonance. This, Dr. Zach says, allows the brain to identify something as valuable. So if we want our nonprofit to be valuable, we need immersive storytelling. Immersive storytelling, first and foremost, tells the story of our organization and our impact. But it is not, I stress, not a list of programs. It's a story about why you exist, your purpose. When you have stories that exemplify your mission and share your why, it creates a shared set of values and beliefs. I think too often we think that everyone knows what we do. That's usually not true. But rarely do people know why we do it. And as author Simon Sinek shares with us, our brain processes why in the same place that we process decisions. So if we want to move people to say yes to our work, yes to getting involved, yes to giving, we need them to understand why our work matters. Here's how we do that. A short 60 to 90 minute program that focuses on our story. Not our partners, not other organizers, but our story, our why. And we break that down for most gala events into a 5-chapter event arc. First, we always have an MC. An MC acts as the tour guide for the audience. They make it easy and comfortable to follow along because they introduce each idea, each transition, and never leave the stage bare for the audience to worry that someone missed a cue. Second, we have 5 chapters that put you and your mission at the front of the program. And we have multiple past episodes that we will link to share this arc. But briefly, chapter 1 is your welcome, why we are here. Chapter 2, about us. This is the show and tell of your mission story, your why, with a really great video and a speaker that is a leader in your organization. Chapter 3, this is your fundraising, which you should lead with a client story that demonstrates impact. We love to do this with video and then host a paddle race to collect direct donations and thank donors as they give. Chapter 4, celebration. After your fundraising, it's time to celebrate what makes you great. This is where you put keynotes, speakers, honorees, entertainment. And finally, chapter 5, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Always end by thanking your staff, board, donors, sponsors, volunteers. Gratitude is the love bomb at the end. So if we have good staging, our brain knows we're safe. And if we have good immersion or storytelling, our brain knows this is valuable. Sam, let's dive into R, which is relevance.
Relevance is that thing that makes it sticky. Relevance means making the message easy, recallable, and using cues like visuals or logos or music. We love to use lots of video in our programs. Dr. Zach says the cued recall increases the likelihood of influence. If it's relevant, it's likely to be shareable, and that is what starts a movement. It's why you hear great speakers use things like call and response or repeating reframes. That repetition keeps the main message clear. But more than that, when you use cues like bringing the lights down, it tells your audience to pay attention. Sharing your logo before video tells your audience that this is about us. You're telling your guests that what is most important. Relevance keeps your mission top of mind, and most importantly, it has to be joyful. When we have joy present at an event, that's when the real FOMO kicks in. And when people have a fear of missing out, the value of your event grows. Relevance gives it influence and makes it shareable.
At one of my favorite events a few years ago, we had a drag queen, Poison Waters, kick off the introduction to the governor. Yes, I said that all in one sentence, and I love it. And they kicked off the performance with Tina Turner's Proud Mary. Everyone knew the song and joined in, and everyone expected the classic Tina Turner dance move for the roll-in part of the song. So when Poison Waters hit the move, the room went wild. But better yet, when she introduced the governor and the governor joined her in the move, the fan club was instantly formed. It was a story we will always remember and share because it was sticky, relevant, shareable. So we have S, staging, making it easy to participate and creating psychological safety. Then we have I, immersion, that are stories and an event arc that tells our brain this is valuable. Then we have R, relevance, that tells our brain this is shareable. Now we have T for target. Tell us about target, Sam.
All right. Target is that likelihood of persuasion, which I think is so important when we're thinking about our fundraising events. Dr. Zach says that having super fans creates influence. So when you have the right targets in the room, they are more likely to be deeply immersed and move to action. This means you want your big donors there. This means that you want your board members there, because when they take action, it moves others to do so. So how do you do that? First, you target the right people. Engage a host committee. That host committee should be made up of your key stakeholders like your board, your leadership staff, your big donors. Their role is to host a table. They bring friends, they play host at the event, and it is in fact I am attending as a guest of you that is likely to move me to give. When we have secured pledges, these are also big donors that are confirmed in advance. They may not even be in the room, but their gift can influence the room to join them. These are your lead gifts or your matching donors. And when you ask paddles to go up, you want to be sure that they go up immediately. It teaches your audience trust. It shows donors how to do it, and it sets the bar for giving. If you have silence, your momentum dies and you teach distrust. Target means the right people will both get guests to your event and influence them to join in the giving. This sets us up, Dr. Zach says, for the final requirement, and that is action. This is the one that's most fascinating to me.
Yeah, honestly, action is the key to the puzzle.
Yeah.
Without it, it's just a great party.
Yeah.
But with action, you have increased guest satisfaction, you have impact, and you provide relief for the brain. Action is that call to action for how to participate and get involved. Your call to action can be text this number to volunteer. Your call to action can be take a pledge, sign an endorsement, register to show up at a lobby day, but our favorite call to action is donate. Unfortunately, this is something we leave out when we identify our events as fundraisers. We are making the choice for our donors and saying we're not going to ask them. But when we end up sharing our story, presenting the problem, and never giving folks the opportunity to be a part of the solution or to belong, we miss the mark. Action is a requirement to a successful gathering of any mission-based organization. And action, like a paddle raise, is how we transform our event into a fundraiser that can be truly game-changing. So if we've done all 5 of these things well, staging, easy prep to participate, immersion, which is the storytelling, relevance, joyful, rememberable content, target, having the right people hosting and giving, action, giving everyone else an opportunity to participate. Your guests will leave your event feeling like it was transformational.
That's SIRTA. So I want to pause in the scripting for a second and take a look at, or just kind of reflect a little bit on why this has been so transformational for us. So we utilized the script today because we really wanted to make sure we got the specifics of the concepts through.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things that I think have been intuitive to us for 28 years of fundraising events and producing events that were sort of like affirmed in this research. Staging and action are the two that stand out for me because of the fact that I didn't have a lot of data behind it until Dr. Zach published this book, but I intuitively understood that a call to action made me feel better.
Yeah.
And so I always understood that even if it wasn't a fundraising event, there had to be some sort of invitation in. And when I attended events where they talked at me for an hour about all the problems, but didn't actually give me an opportunity to be a part of it, I was frustrated.
Yep.
So we've always focused on, okay, if it's not fundraising, what is the call to action? How do we still build in a call to action? I think in some past episodes, we talked about digital marketing, media always needing to have a call to action. But the surprise to me was the staging component. I think I've always wanted events to feel welcoming, but really understanding the impact that has on the brain of being able to like turn down the nervous energy and say, oh, this is easy to participate in because I know what to expect. I know what's expected of me. I know how to participate. Those two things always pop to me about this acronym. Are there things about sort of how we're applying this that have kind of stood out to you at all?
Yeah, I think a lot of the pieces have been intuitive when you spend your life in rooms of people and hoping to drive behavior.
Right.
I think what is particularly helpful, I hope, for our fundraisers out there is that there are ways in which the brain works.
Yeah.
That we can't fight. So how do we help? How do we turn down the friction that our donors and guests at our event are experiencing so that they can give that amazingly crafted speech or amazingly put together video that we have on the screen? Like, I think that to me is the biggest piece. Is it doesn't matter at some point what those pieces are. If you have taken people out of the equation to not give them the cues beforehand to say this is valuable. I can't just scream up there and say, this is life or death. You have to pay attention. It's happening in a context of people. And I feel like this framework really deeply, but also simply, doesn't mean it's easy, lays out a path to have the guest experience and your fundraising strategy really start to mesh. And I think it really gives shape to, we've always talked about there being 3 arcs happening at your event, right? There's your program,
right?
There's your fundraising, and then there's the audience experience.
Yeah, the group
And
dynamics
I think
at play.
what this really helps frame for folks is how critical it is to get that audience experience on board for that fundraising and program experience really to be amplified, that it can really be a detraction. It can pull those two into flat lines immediately if you aren't understanding that people didn't know where to park. They showed up hungry because you told them that they were going to eat, and now they're not eating
for 2 hours.
For 2 hours. You know, like, I think all of those critical pieces become afterthoughts. And I think what I hope this really starts to lay out for people is they should be fundamental to your planning.
Yeah.
They shouldn't just be, oh my God, we should have told people there were gluten-free options.
Right. Let's make sure they know that.
Let's make sure they know that.
Well, I think there's an interesting sort of shift that's happening in the fundraising world right now, is that for, decades, we came to fundraising. A lot of people came to fundraising as accidental fundraisers.
Totally.
And they found their way into fundraising because they cared about a cause. They had a job at a nonprofit that had a need in fundraising. Oftentimes I see program people come into fundraising, and there have been a couple of best practices that have been given as like, just do it this way. But now we're starting to see that those best practices actually have some research behind them, some whys behind them. And this to me is like the research for fundraising events, specifically events. But that's why we're inviting Chiri and Koshi to come and speak, and Clay Buck to come and speak, because the two of them dive into neuroscience in the same way we do. And I feel like the 4 of us together have all kind of gravitated to this idea that if we understand why, if we understand the body's reaction, the brain implication, the group dynamics, it allows us to apply it easier. Meaning, you tell me it's the best practice and I try to apply it but can't figure out why it's not working. It's because I'm missing that fundamental like understanding behind it. But as soon as you give me the understanding, now I know where we went wrong and how better to apply it. So the shift for me is, if we're really going to impact how to raise money better, how to connect communities better, how to bring people in and engage them better, we need to be learning by watching, and we need to be learning by understanding the impacts, the brain, the chemistry, the psychology at play, so we can better apply them.
Well, and I think what we're getting at, it's in the word immersion.
Yeah.
We're taking people from watching our work.
Right.
And maybe tangentially being in a transaction with us,
Yeah.
to having them work with their brain chemistry and their natural inclination as humans to make, and this is not literally physiology, this is aspirational, but if we take care of the brain and the brain isn't in a feedback loop that is counter to their experience,
Right.
we allow their heart to connect.
Yeah.
We allow that moment to sing in a really, really different way. And I do think that is what moves things from being perfunctory gala events where like, oh, we're doing this now, oh, we're doing this now, to transformational events that create movements for your mission where people leave going, that felt great. I gave them a lot more money than I wanted to, and that felt great. And I'm going to talk about it tomorrow with the folks I encounter. What'd you do last night? I went to this really great event for, I think often events are a to-do. They're a huge lift. They are 400 hours probably of your life. I'm not trying to belittle that, but when we look at the opportunity of them versus the chore of them, this framework really helps us capitalize on their opportunity for us as an organization.
Yeah, agree. We've been talking a lot about this concept of we're living in a connection recession right now, meaning like people are more disconnected.
Yeah.
The research right now behind like the loneliness epidemic, the idea of isolation, I think is coming both from digital, sort of the world we're living in being so digital, but also the like response post-pandemic. Like so many people didn't return back to the office. We have less interaction and connection to people in person, more online. And I think one of the best tools that we have at our resource in the world of how do we raise more money to support our cause, how do we advance our mission, is building those social safety nets by bringing people in, helping them feel a sense of belonging. And when organizations have that sense of connection and community around them, the work they're able to do is like exponential and transformative. When it's one person with an idea and they see the need and they have a solution that they want to apply and they're doing all the things and wearing all the hats, rarely are they able to have the same impact and the burnout is so high. But when they have that ability to invite people in, all of a sudden you have like deep circles of influence that come and support in every way possible. So,
well, and it's how you get at that idea we've talked about for a long time when we think about purpose of events.
yeah.
People are like, oh, we've got to raise X or we've got to do this.
It is
we gotta
not the
do that.
easiest way to raise money.
It is not. It is not. And there are, for many organizations, they should not be doing an event right now. But instead asking in terms of purpose, what is possible when 400 immersed, activated people come together to be a part of our mission?
It's a different question than
it's a very different question. Because then we're just looking at butts and seats.
Right.
And butts and seats is markedly different than thinking about the collective whole and what is possible with that group taking action together.
So this is a frame that if you want to dive more into, you can find in Paul Zach's Immersion. Also, we have our 2 episodes that started this season 3, were with Dr. Paul Zach because this has been such a transformative sort of shapeshifter for us. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll jump in the fundraising elevator. But if you want more on Dr. Zach, make sure to check the show notes.
Great.
Change. It doesn't happen on its own. It happens on purpose. Thanks to nonprofits that believe a brighter future is not just possible, but needed and deserved. And that connect people to causes and turn moments of generosity into movements. That's why Bloomerang is built for purpose. To raise the bar on what's possible and help every act of giving lead to more. Because when the bottom line is a better world, no goal is too lofty. Bloomerang, built for purpose.
Welcome back. We've been discussing the Dr. Paul Zach study of what moves people to act and his framework called SIRTA. Today, we've used a fundraising event as an example, but we feel strongly that the world is going through a connection recession and gatherings are a pathway back to caring for each other. So we want to bring you some examples from our community that we will hope will inspire you to gather more often. In the next 2 weeks, we're sharing some incredible stories of gathering. First up, we're talking to Topaz Farm, and then we'll be talking to the Bike Bus about how their gatherings are changing their community.
So as we leave the fundraising elevator, our advice to you, our final tip to you to keep heading up, is to create intentional space for communities to gather. We hope that this framework provides you a starting place for you to build your event from. When you join us next week, you'll be able to dive into a case study, and then make sure to register for the Elevate conference, where we'll be getting all kinds of nerdy about fundraising events. It's happening March 3rd and 4th, and we hope you'll join us there.
Whether you're right here at Avenue in Portland, Oregon, or joining us online, it is time to take our fundraising event to school.
Gathering is just so important right now. It's always been important, but I think being with your people is extremely important.
Your guests should believe in your organization and understand that they are the community that make it possible. Their power combined with others is immense. We need spaces where people remember that the world is changed by those who show up together, who act together, who give together.
I think I've been coming to Elevate since Elevate started. It is every year, there is fresh new content that is very much tailored to the moment that we're in. And it's easy to know that we are in a moment.
Events are changing. The landscape of Portland is changing, so it's nice to be in a room where new ideas are coming up.
Last year I came to this event and we were introduced to this event arc. With that event arc, we increased our funding that evening by 23%. 23.
I love the atmosphere. I love the energy. I'm already thinking about the events this year and how they can be better. Samantha Swaim and Kristin Steele are geniuses. Geniuses. I cannot tell you how incredible and thoughtful they are when it comes to how you should set up your event for ultimate success.
Because the people in this room, you can feel the passion that they have for their nonprofits, for the events that they put on for their communities, and Feather wants to be a part of that. So we have loved the vibe since the moment we stepped in the room.
At North by Northeast, I am currently our Development and Communications Director, and it's really been great for me to use all those skills that I've had, both learning from Samantha and from Elevate.
The AV department has been a partner with Elevate since the very first year in 2018. It's one of the ways that we can support our nonprofit partners to make their events shine and get better every year.
I attended last year, and that was also my first time in the Avenue, and I was blown away by the production quality of this space. I loved the live streaming aspect. It was so fun.
Elevate's such a lively room, and there's so many great people. I've run into so many people that I know as community partners and colleagues, and it's just a really joyful experience to be here in community with everybody that's helping to support the important nonprofits in Portland.
I've already started building a network, and I've learned so much all before lunch. My hand is cramping from all the notes that I've taken.
Just having everybody share insights from every direction, even if you thought you knew everything, you're learning something.
We are, of course, in the development department of our nonprofit organization.
And just as in the name, we are looking to elevate our events and take it higher, raise more money for our families, and just do more with our nonprofits.
Humans give to humans. Every single donor, no matter the size of their gift, is doing something really meaningful.
Words, they're extremely powerful. That's why I'm here to kind of showcase little shifts in language that would help us continue to uplift our communities, particularly those of color.
They are in control of the story of what's in it, whether it's a video or whether it's their speech, preparing them, and then also making sure that you highlight how their story is helping the organization.
The work you do matters. And what's more than that, you matter. It is critical that this feels like a community, not only that you can be a part of, but that you are a part of.
The Fundraising Elevator is produced by Swaim Strategies at the studios of the AV department. The program is produced and directed by Steve Osborne, with audio engineering and original music by Dwayne Anderson and Heidi Christensen. Video production by John Collier. Graphic design by Pendulum Creative Group. And voiceover by Josh Boykin.
Hey y'all, it's Kristin. Before we leave, I want to ask for your help to make the podcast grow. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please like, follow, and subscribe to the Fundraising Elevator. And if you're getting a lot out of the show, share it with a friend. Leave us a review. These things help make sure that the podcast continues heading up. Thanks so much for being here and tuning in.
Are you ready to engage supporters and grow your base with your own podcast? Then let us introduce you to our partners at the AV Department in Portland, Oregon. In addition to delivering exceptional live event audiovisual production and videography, they also have a top-tier production studio and an expert team ready to take your content ideas to the next level. Contact the AV Department to schedule a consultation and start bringing your podcast vision to life.